Hello and welcome to the City Club Hub. I am Dan Gibbons from the City Club of Chicago, and we are coming at you live from the Blue Room in the Chicago Firehouse Restaurant during Convention Week. This is a great kickoff to our podcast in conjunction with the U.S. Conference of Mayors and WVON Radio. And I am really excited to have Naomi Davis in the chair from Blacks in Green. Welcome to the City Club of Chicago.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us about you're changing your community, you're changing the city of Chicago, you're changing the way that people look at sustainability, you're changing the way that the pride in neighborhoods. Tell us about Blacks in Green. Tell us where it came from. Where you came from, that's a lot, but please give us a little overview, if you will.
I was a little girl in St. Albans, Queens, New York City, where you could walk to work, walk to shop, walk to learn, walk to play, where your neighbors who were African Americans owned the businesses, owned the land, and lived a new generation of what we call the conservation lifestyle. And it's different now than it was then, but essentially what Blacks in Green is all about is reinventing that walkable village, that green, mixed income, walkable, that place where it sounds trite, but everybody knows your name,
Good.
and where in community, you found yourself, you found your voice. It was a safe place to invent yourself. And over the decades of my being fed by that, I also watched that kind of place go extinct. And it was excruciating for me. Decade after decade, seeing the courage and the work ethic and the genius and the love of the great migration comers. My family was part of that movement. 7 million people voting with their feet and moving up south for freedom and economic opportunity. And the stories of the farm, I always introduce myself in stages around the country. I'm Naomi Davis, and I come from white gloves and mud. And what that is a reference to many folks have seen the picture of my grandmother, the most regal woman that you ever want to see, a sharecropper's wife from Minter City, Mississippi. By the way, 13 miles as the crow flies from Money, Mississippi, where Emmett Till was murdered. And that factors really deeply into the work, which is heritage-based. We talk about that walk to work, walk to shop, walk to learn, walk to play village, but we're not referencing it so much as a convenience as it is an emergency management system, a self-help system, a vision for really a new narrative for what it means to be Black and American. We don't often, just go into a crowd of neighbors and say, we've got a new narrative for being Black in America. Don't you want to just love it? It is true, though, foundationally, that what if Black communities were synonymous with beauty and prosperity and comfort and joy? What if that's what you thought of when you thought of a Black community?
And they were, right?
And
they were, and they can be, and it sounds like it's working.
And shall be. Well, let me tell you something. We didn't get into this mess overnight. We won't get out of it overnight. We won't get out of it with a few $1 million. We won't get out of it with a few $1 billion. It takes a long time for things to fall apart. Families, schools, churches, employers, buildings. It takes a long time for that to disintegrate. And so we have a long game. We are absolutely overjoyed. It's like a calling. It's like the most refreshing thing that ever happened to me after wandering, looking, wondering, oh my God, this world is so big. It's so broken. What can any one person do? And I was determined that I wasn't going to be a part of some megalith of an action that was centralized in some government or in some big corporation or some. It needed to be something, from my perspective, it needed to be something that a few good neighbors could get together and do and build and create and sustain. And so the Sustainable Square Mile was the outcome after 7 years of research.
I was going to ask, so it's 7 years that
I worked at understanding, how did it fall apart? What are the best practices? What were the models in place at the time? This was in the year 2000 when I started this research. And in 2007, Blacks in Green was born with the 8 principles of green village building, which we consider to be a whole system solution for the whole system problem common to Black communities everywhere.
And you're talking, is that where it's transportation, economic, what are those 8?
The 8 principles have to do with wealth and wealth creation, has to do with energy and energy sovereignty, has to do with creating products and life cycling them in a way that they're born and they die and come back again in the place where they were created. It has to do with housing that is affordable, that produces, we call it the urban homestead, which is where households and homesteads produce their own energy, grow their own food, clean their own water, and recycle their own waste. So in those ways, we're looking at how to restore our place in the world. And it's literally about closing the racial wealth gap, because our 2 outcomes have been from day one that we're going to increase your household income via the new green economy, and we're going to work with you to build an oasis of resilience around the harms of climate crisis, which of course we know hit Black and brown communities first and worst. So those 2 outcomes, and we have 3 ways we're going to do it. Want to know what they are?
I can't wait.
First, we're going to increase the rate that neighbor-owned businesses are created and sustained, because most of us who observe the Black community in our entrepreneurial zeal, we'll start a business in a New York nanosecond, and then not too long after that, we're broke, busted, and disgusted, and we know that it's about.
So how do you get investors to understand that? I mean, I think you now can prove what you've been able to do and get investors to follow your lead, but that's not easy, right? To get investors to actually
super duper not. And I wouldn't hold ourselves up as, some beacon of victory, although triumph is our middle name. And we do have a plan. The whole system problem that is common to Black communities everywhere includes malnutrition, addiction, and poisoning, health disparities, self-hatred projected, miseducation, dropouts, and illiteracy, unprepared parenting and state-supported single-mother homes, barriers to voting, hyper-incarceration, recidivism and violence, underemployment, unemployment, and the Black tax, which is basically, it's just more expensive to be Black. Yeah. And so when you're talking about a whole system solution, we have the 8 principles of green village building, which include storytelling and heritage celebration. It includes organizing. What are we talking about? It's the DNC week here in Chicago. You don't get people into office. Not that we're working to get people into office. We're a 501c3.
We, as City Club, nonpartisan, non-biased, we are right there with you.
Biased. I have Mr.
But what we do love to do is lift up people who are out there doing the right thing in a nonpartisan, non-biased way. And if you're helping your community like you are doing, that needs to be shouted from the rooftops.
It really does. So organizing, and then commerce, make something and sell it. So for us, we are the proud stewards of the Emmett and Mamie Mobley House Museum at 6426 South St. Lawrence. And the work that we're doing there really is about building a tourism economy. So we say we're building economies in energy, horticulture, housing, tourism, and waste. Wow. That means we're looking at Who are the employers, or who can they be? Who are the workers? How do they get trained? Who's the customer base? How do they get educated? And how do we get those three working in synchronization, like the old plates on the Ed Sullivan Show? I know I'm dating myself terribly, but so what?
But so now you're all these the issues that you're talking about, and especially with green economy, in this current administration, the Biden administration, in recent years, you've been at this since 2000. A lot has changed since 2000. A lot has changed since 2007. Yes. Especially when it comes to climate change, but then when it also comes to funding, right? And in recent, with a couple of the ARPA funds and a couple of these other, I imagine, and it's not all about funding, but I'm hoping that you were able to tap into some of that. And is the government helping you along the way in these efforts?
Well, it might not be all about the Benjamins, but it is definitely about the Benjamins. And I want to say, people who know Blacks in Green know that I worked 12 years for free. There was no staff. There was no headquarters. There was an army of one. And by the grace of God, I was able to take the thoughts that I was having and share them nationally in a way that they really began to take root. But 5 years ago, we were blessed with our first fee-for-service contract, and we were able to hire staff, and we were able to rent a headquarters, which we now own. Well, the bank owns it, but we don't have to go into that. The idea that we are able to model for our neighbors what it means to persist, what it means to hold a vision, what it means to just keep walking in the direction of your vision and not stopping. Because last year it was announced that we were the $10 million recipient of a Biden-Harris administration program, the Technical Assistance Thriving Communities. How can I blow that? The technical...
I hope you already cashed the check.
No kidding.
We won't tell the president.
These technical assistance centers.
There you go.
And the reason that it is such a phenomenal win is because, we're a community-based organization. We live where we work, and we work to serve the people in the neighborhood where we are.
It's an ecosystem, right?
It is.
That's your whole
It
theory.
really is. Now, true, we work in policy. We have, we work transactionally. We have quite a wheelhouse. But what we are, here to toot the horn about is that not since FDR and the New Deal, not since the bank bailout, not since COVID recovery, has there ever been close to the amount of money that is waterfalling right now from federal sources down to state sources, and with stewards. I'm the only one in the country that is a community-based organization, and we take the duty, we take the opportunity so seriously. It's sacred to us that we actually structure what's needed to get technical assistance to environmental justice communities. And here's what it looks like. From our perspective, there is a body of people out there doing fantastic work who haven't received grants. I know all about that. I want to see people get the money. That's where the rubber meets the road. And so we have a program called Get Your Paperwork Together. And it's all about how do you get the many organizations and individuals out there, how do you get them up to the bar where they can successfully apply for a grant? Okay, then we have grant services, and many of the TIC-TACs across the country do grant services. But on the other end, for advanced stage community-based organizations, we have what we call a matchmaker. And we're going to be working with the City Club. You probably you probably haven't heard yet, but we're going to be working to make those matches between community-based organizations that have some serious service under their belt, and that are able to work with industry, academia, big green organizations, and to do those large infrastructure projects, roads and bridges, energy, broadband.
There's helping people connect all those dots is something we talked about with Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who is doing that now, and with nonprofits, giving them access, helping them with access to all sorts of different service providers, funding, grants, and you name it, because there's money out there, there's opportunity out there, and as long as there are great people like you doing these great things where the rubber is meeting the road, let's help to make those connections stronger. We're committed at City Club to helping use our platform to share these messages, and we hope to have you back. It's been incredible to hear how this has really become a success. I know it has not been an easy journey, reading into some of your history. So thank you for sharing it here with us at the City Club of Chicago. We look forward to having you back very soon.
I appreciate the opportunity.
And good luck with keeping this moving forward. I know you've got a lot of work ahead of you.
It's gonna.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. We look forward to having you back, coming at you live from the Blue Room in the Chicago Firehouse Restaurant. I'm Dan Gibbons with the City Club of Chicago, and it has been a wonderful afternoon here with Naomi Davis from Blacks in Green. Thanks for being here, and see you soon.